Hey there, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show, where you're going to have the opportunity to listen to and learn from everyday entrepreneurs. All right, welcome to the Jeff and Heidi Show. We're excited today to have some great guests with us. I'm Jeff Hagee of Jeff Hagee Coaching, and my co-host is with me, Heidi Anderson of ECI Secure Pay. And we are extremely excited to have Jennifer Milius with us, along with Dr. Wayne Applewhite. Now, to tell you just a little bit about each of them, Doctor, do I call you Dr. Applewhite?
Please
or
call me Wayne.
Okay. All right. To tell you more about Wayne, obviously he's an author, because that's what we want to talk about is their new book today. But he's a co-founder of a leadership development firm and he holds a Doctor of Management degree. And I could go into some of the positions he holds, but that's a book in itself. He's got so much experience behind him. So I'm going to give him a little bit to talk about himself. But with Jennifer, she's an entrepreneur, development editor, coach, and an accomplished author. And again, she's done so much. So Jennifer, why don't we let you start? Just tell us a little bit more about yourself and kind of your bio. Share it with us.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you both for having us on the show. I'm really excited to be with you. I had a 20-year corporate career before starting my business. And with that, leveraged an undergraduate degree in comms and a master's degree in business to help people to drive, change, communication efforts, that kind of thing, project management efforts. And but from there, when I started my business, I published children's books, 7 of them, called the Einstein and Moo series, and then this one with Wayne. So, and as a developmental editor, that basically means that I'm helping you with the heavy lifting of the book. So helping you get the idea from your head into the paper. So thinking of pacing for a book, if it's fiction, or thinking of character development, plot holes, that kind of thing. And if it's nonfiction, it's helping you reach your target audience. It's helping you with your messaging and if that's story arc, because when someone picks up nonfiction, they're kind of looking to help solve a problem, and you're providing a solution with your book. So I'm helping you make that connection.
Excellent. Thank you. And Wayne, share some more about yourself.
Certainly. I started off as a technical illustrator after high school, and then I became a cook. Wow. And after that, I've done a myriad of things. As a surgical technician, I stood next to an operating room on the open heart surgical team for 2 years. That was fabulous, very, very fun. But I've been a project manager, I've been a fuels officer, a logistics officer, I've been a associate dean, I've been a leadership professor with Boston University for about 14 years. I can't keep a job, if you can tell. So I've had a plethora of positions, and I've got to see leadership from many angles, perspectives, and perceptions, and it's great. With Jen, it was fun to write this book, and when we met for the first real time, we hit it off immediately, and the rest is history. It really is. It's been a fun ride.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome.
Now, did you write the book together, or you wrote the book and Jen's helping you get it out into the world?
Jen?
Oh no, we wrote it together, actually. Okay. We met through, we both had different podcasts on leadership, but coming from different angles. And we ended up connecting by saying, okay, well, how can we work together a little bit more so? And in doing so, Wayne gave me a couple of opportunities to be on his show, which was really fun. And then from there, it turned into, we could tell a story about leadership, but do it in a different way to connect with people, kind of like being a mentor in their back pocket. And so we actually live in the same state. We're a few hours apart from each other, but we're in the same state. So we sat down in his basement with the whiteboard up and basically think of the Pomodoro technique where you're like just running a timer for like 20, 30 seconds. Well, we brainstormed out topics with sticky notes and then stopped the timer, did it again, stopped the timer, did it again, and threw them all up on the whiteboard and then started figuring, okay, well, how can we pull this together? And it turned into, well, we have a lot to cover. What do we really want to say and to whom? And it just evolved over time, but it was just such a fun journey to be able to co-author this book with Wayne.
And the title, it's a verb, right? Is the word leadership? Is that the word that's a verb, or is there a different word?
Lead is the verb.
Lead. Okay.
Yes, because in leadership, that's what we want people to do. We want them to lead. We want them to
Right.
act. We want them to do things. So lead is really where we're looking at.
And
Okay.
do them often. It's like a practice. It's kind of like how a lawyer or a doctor, they don't just become a lawyer or a doctor automatically and then stop. You have to continue and refine and show
Yep.
up every time and do those things. And so we're suggesting that leading is the same way, that it's not just one and done. It's something you do, and you're not always going to get it right every time, but you keep getting up and you keep it moving.
Because a doctor practices medicine and a lawyer practices law, leaders should be practicing leadership every day.
Because you're always practicing.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
As I read this book, there's two thoughts that kept coming to mind. Is one, this is something that is very applicable in my life right now. But two, man, I wish I had it the first time I was in a leadership position. And, when I went into I used to be a bank manager. And when I got that position, I was young. Most of the people that were working there had been in the industry longer than I had been alive. This would have been an asset for me. So what I want to do is I want to get into some of the things that you talked about in the book. And, first of all, most of the people listening to this are going to be hearing it on podcast, but if you are seeing it on video, couple things. This is the book, it's a verb, right? And you can see it behind in Wayne's background as well. But I will put everything in the show notes, links and everything. But when I opened it up this morning thinking, what are we going to talk about today? It's one of those books that I've got dog ears, I've got highlights, I got everything underlined. So, we could probably go on for hours. So I just kind of picked a few things that really stood out to me that I wanted to talk about, because there's actually parts in the book that I had written podcast. So I knew those were things that I thought I better be talking about here. But one of the initial things that I underlined that I really liked and like to hear you guys' comments on is there a difference to who you are and who you think you are? And do you want to just talk a little bit about that as it applies to leadership?
Jen?
I was just going to say, first off, to your point, Jeff, about wishing you had that book. That's how I felt with it too, writing it, that where was this book when I was coming through my corporate stuff? So, oh my gosh. So it's so nice to hear you say that. So to me, where you are, like who you are, you're assessing your skills and your strengths and your weaknesses and all the things about you that make you you. But where you want to be, there's a place for you to figure out how to close that. There's a place for you to figure out, am I doing all that I can be? Do I have some spaces where I need to improve upon that? Or am I doing the right thing? And I kind of just need to keep going where I'm going. When we wrote the book, we included some end of chapter honesty check questions. So those were intended to help you gauge your own self by saying, okay, how am I going to answer these questions? And do I have some areas to improve upon? Or am I doing some good things and I just need to keep doing more of this? Or how can I expand on this a little bit more? But the idea is for you there's always something to continue to improve, at least how I see things. So from that standpoint, when you are following your heart, when you're staying true to who you are, then you are on the right path because you are being authentic, you are staying true to yourself, and you're following that little inner voice. And I think that that's important. And that's when you're knowing who you are, but then you're also figuring out how to grow from that. Wayne, what would you say?
Yeah, I couldn't say much more than that, but I would certainly like to tell Jeff, I have a cheeky little rhyme that I like to say about the book. Jen doesn't like it, but I do. When I talk to people, I say, this is not going to be the only book on leadership you're going to heed, but it is the first one you should read. Heidi like that. Yes, but we bring value no matter who we are, where we are. We do bring value, and you're right, Jeff, and Jen articulated it very well. The value that you bring, and sometimes the value you think you bring may not be the value that you think you are really bringing, because other people around you, that peripheral kind of vision, they might say, you're not who you think you are. So you really have to work on that, because trust, respect is a two-way street. And if I am this neon sign that says, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, and people are out there bouncing it back to me, you're not, you're not, you're not. There's some there's some things that need to happen, and you need to be cognizant of that and, figure that out.
So is there like a workbook part of this book where you kind of helps you figure that out, or?
As Jen mentioned, we have in the back of each and every chapter, there's 30 chapters. They're very small, but at the end of every chapter, there is an end of chapter honesty check that you have to answer questions yourself. Yes, and it helps you with your own metrics.
And just like Jeff was suggesting how he utilized the book by dog-earing and highlighting and writing in it, to me, that's like a sign of love of a book. I mean, I realize that might sound like, how can you write in a book? Okay, maybe not in fiction, but in nonfiction, to me, that is the sign of a book that is loved and utilized, because it means that you're working it. It means that you see it as a resource to help you, and it has done that, and therefore you want to keep coming back to it. So to me, it's a sign of a book that's loved and that has been instrumental to what you needed. So to me, work the book that way. What you do is awesome. I loved it. You made my heart sing, because that's how I see books too.
Well, and that's such an asset too, because especially now that so much is virtual, when I'm working with clients and stuff, you can see my library behind me. When I get a thought that I know what book it came from, it takes me 2 seconds to find it, because all my books are like that. And so, yeah, your book is definitely marked up. Now, Wayne, one of the things you mentioned, and I'd like to move on to that topic because there's a couple chapters that you address it, is trust. Do you guys want to talk about trust with leadership?
Absolutely. Trust is one of those, because I'm not going to say it's the only one, but trust is one of those paramount verbs that has to be a two-way street. A leader comes in, and all of a sudden, or automatically, the organization, there's something called legitimate ownership of a word. You come in as the legitimate leader in the organization if you're hired at that level. So the organization has already says you are a person who is leading, and everything's going to be great. So you come in and thinking everybody's going to trust you, and that is not the case. Because trust is a two-way street, and you have to gain that trust, and you do it, one person at a time. Most of the times, I was in an organization and I had, over 50 people in that organization with me that I was leading, and I was the new guy, new kid on the block. Okay, and everybody's looking to see what's going to happen. And as I came in, I started, hitting individuals and gaining their trust here, gaining their trust there. It wasn't moving very fast. However, I found out, I looked at the organization and realized there's one person in this organization who's holding my key to everyone else's trust. As soon as I gained that person's trust, it was almost like, the light bulbs came on, and it was an epiphany. Everybody, not everyone, 97% of the people in that organization at that time then trusted me, because they trusted the person who I'm speaking about. She trusted me. So because she did, everybody else got on board. Once that happened, Jeff, Heidi, it was easy to move the organization in the directions that we wanted it to go. Not me, but we wanted it to go. And without the we, you get nowhere. It's like trying to push a rope. it just bends in the middle and it doesn't do anything. So you got to grab that rope and pull it. And the team was then pulling me, because they were saying, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, not so fast. Let's do this one at a time. But trust is paramount. And if you ever lose that trust, woe be the person that does that, because trust is hard to get back. Jen?
I can't add anything extra to that because that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay. Heidi, what do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of you probably read the book The Accidental Tourist or heard of it. I'm like the accidental leader. It's like I mean I'm a degree in business, but I never wanted to lead. I always wanted to be just like the person behind the scenes doing accounting and stuff like that. And then I eventually ended up becoming an entrepreneur. My husband and I own our own business, and yeah, you end up leading. And I've never really had any, I would say, education in it. It's just more of a personality thing for me. I don't know. Maybe I should read the book. Maybe you can teach this old dog some new tricks.
Absolutely. There's a couple things in there that you talked about is, in building trust, one, you need to deliver. If you tell your workforce you're going to do something, you've got to deliver on it. But one of the things that I had highlighted as well was the best way to damage trust is to lie. And when your workforce finds out you've lied to them, yeah, that's your downfall. So
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm going to equate that to dating. The first time that you really had that crush and this is the one. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this individual, and all of a sudden that individual lies to you, or you lie to them. You get that pitted feeling in your stomach, in your gut, and it's going to go bad from here on in. And it's difficult. It's downright hard to regain that trust once you've lied to somebody. And you could bend over backwards saying you're sorry, but as you said, Jeff, actions, and again, it's a verb, right? The doing things. What are you going to do about that? How do you repair trust? How do you repair that relationship that you had with the organization, with an individual? It doesn't really matter, but how do you break that? And some people can't shake it. Some people find that is a downward spiral and they just implode and have to leave because they can never regain that trust. But we see it all the time in the news. You see individuals breaking trust all the time, and you think, how did that happen? How did they get there? And we all, the four of us, know that those individuals didn't just start lying at the stage that they're at.
They just started getting caught.
Exactly. Yes. And they're crying on TV. Oh, I've lost the respect of my family, my friends, my whomever. And you're thinking, no, you're crying because you got caught. I don't know. Jen, can you help me out here?
And well, actually, I agree with what you were saying, but something Heidi had alluded to where you like the accidental leader. I would think of that as like an informal leader in this context of where Wayne said that at the beginning, there was a legitimate power essentially saying, hey, the company has said you're the boss, and therefore that's inferring the leader of this organization. But then when you are an informal leader, and that was a lot of what my role was as a project manager for so many different projects where I was leading. I may not have had a RACI chart and a performance agreement saying this person had to work for me. But if you think about it, in order to get something done without that, then that required a different kind of influence. That required different skill sets to actually get buy-in to the project that had to be brought to life in some way. So whether or not you have that legitimate power, I mean, that's great, but it's really about how you're treating people, how you want to be treated, how consistent you're being, how you are able to articulate that vision and where you want things to go, and that you're not, snowballing someone. You're not just saying what you think they want to hear. You're being honest, but you're doing it in a way that it can be received so that it is considerate of that other person, even if it's hard to deliver or hard to hear. So to your point about trust, you still need to deliver the bad news, if you will. You may not have to be a sledgehammer about it up front at the very first thing you do, but there is a way to deliver that so that there is integrity about how you're communicating, how you're engaging, because people are going to watch those actions. They're going to believe what they see. And they're also going to remember how you made them feel. They're also going to remember that even if it was not so great information, did they feel like you cared enough to be honest, to be forthcoming about it, to be to say, look, I messed up and I'd like to figure out how we can move forward because I didn't do so great here. I definitely prefer someone telling me that and saying, so then we work together to move that forward versus saying, oh, okay. So now you're just finding out and you're upset because you're caught, like you said earlier, versus because of the action itself.
Right. Absolutely. No, thank you for that. Now what I want to move on to is talking about rodents in leadership. Rats downtown.
Oh, rodents.
I knew exactly where he was going with that.
I just misunderstood
That's
the word. I
awesome.
was going roads into someplace. I heard like roads in, rodents. Okay.
So maybe if you don't mind, talk about Rats Downtown and what that is and what it means.
Chivalry is not dead.
Well-
so Jane gets to go first.
Respect all, trust some, do no harm. So
Do wrong to
basically-
none. Do
to
wrong to
none.
none.
So it's intended to remember that, that do no harm, to do no harm or to do not harm to none is intended to be mindful of delivering the bad news, to remember that just because something doesn't go your way, it doesn't give you the right to be a twit about it. You have to, there still needs to be a way to communicate that to, you may not like the information you receive, but how do you move forward with integrity for yourself? Because it has to come back to you too. It's how you're conducting yourself. And when you are in alignment, it's going to come through in how you engage with others and how they engage with you. And it's also setting that bar of excellence for your team, because then when you're operating at this level of respecting all and trusting some, but doing no harm, then your team will also operate in this same space because they are seeing it modeled by you.
Heidi, do you have a pencil by chance? Yes.
Do I have a pen? Does that count?
Okay. You have a piece of paper?
I do.
Okay.
Look.
write these letters down, because this is what Jeff is asking. So RATSDWTN.
Rats downtown. Okay.
And that's chapter 10 in our book. And it stands for respect all, trust some, do wrong to none. Now, respect all. You go into an organization and it doesn't matter who you are or who they are. You should be respecting everyone. You should be respecting all those that you come around, that you engage with, that you're working with, working for, all of those periphery to your organization. Respect everyone. Everyone deserves respect. I think mom and dad taught me that. Everyone deserves respect, to include yourself. Trust some. There are some individuals who have great ideas, and there are some individuals who are not going to have so much great ideas. Some individuals are coming. When I started teaching first, one of my best mentors told me that I'm going to have A students, B students, and C students. And then the D's and F students will be there as well. But he says the C students are going to come in. They just are there because that is a class that they have to take. They don't really want to take it, but they have to. So that's why they're going to be in your class. And they're just there to get a passing C and to move on. So, okay, I'm going to respect them. I'm going to trust some of the things that they say. Some of the things they say may or may not add to the conversation, but I'm going to trust some of them. Some of their ideas are going to be good. Some of them are not going to be good. Do wrong to none. DWTN. Machiavelli. I'm sure we've all heard of Machiavelli. He wrote the article. He wrote the piece called The Prince. Machiavelli was talking to the prince on how to be princely, how to be that person who is in charge of his or her subjects, if you will. Do wrong to none. Machiavelli said, and a lot of people don't like him. I think Machiavelli is somewhat misunderstood. What Machiavelli was saying to the prince in The Prince is, it is better to have people fear you. You can be cruel, you can do all these things. It's better to have people fear you than to hate you. Because if they fear you, they will acquiesce and do what you want to do. They may not like it, but they're going to do what you want them to do. But if they hate you, they're going to rebel and come and kill you. If you do wrong to none, They may not like it, but they will not hate you to that point where they're going to come and try and sabotage what you're doing and what has been accomplished thus far. So do wrong to none, treat everyone fairly, be consistent. If you're going to do this to one person because they did X, then you have to do it to the next person because they did X. Don't pick favorites, don't choose sides. And Jeff, that's really what Rats Downtown is respect all of them, trust some of them, do wrong to none of them. If that makes sense to you.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's great. Now we talked about trust in chapter 17. I think this relates to trust. Well, I know it relates to trust a lot because it's mentioned, but you start the chapter, you say, one of the hardest skills to learn as a new leader is to articulate the vision and then quietly monitor from afar. So talk a little bit about that as well.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was thinking of micromanagement. I mean, it's affectionately put it as a micromanagement thing because I might have the idea and I've communicated it, but if I'm staying in the weeds and not staying at a higher level, then I'm not allowing people to do what they do best. I hired these individuals because they brought a skill set to augment this team, to bring this vision to life, because they have the skills that they need. So I need to trust that I brought the right people on board and get out of their way and check in to say, hey, how's it going? What do you need from me? And my job as a leader is to kick the rocks out of the way. My job is to clear the path so that they're able to move forward. And I'm supposed to help create that space so that they can do what they do best. If they need help, I'm trusting that they're going to send up a flare and say, hey, I need some help. And they're willing, and then know that I'm willing to go figure it out and have their backs. But to monitor from afar is basically saying, I'm allowing you to do what you need to do, but I'm also aware of the progress. I'm aware of what's happening, and I'm not going to get blindsided either. I don't want to be blindsided, but when you're fostering the right environment, if you're fostering a teaming environment, a trusting environment, a communicative environment, you'll have those pieces and you'll all be moving forward together to bring this to life. It's not just you, it's your whole team doing that.
I love what Jen said about the micromanagement piece and the rest of it. And today, especially today, and what we've been experiencing the last year and a half is very important to what that chapter is saying, because individuals now are finding out, oh, wait, my team is spread out. They're at home. They're not coming into the office. They're being forced to monitor from afar. And they're forced to use different leadership skills because of the situation that we're finding ourselves in. They're also finding out, I think Forbes said it, 25% of the individuals who are teleworking right now, they're going to want to remain in that teleworking situation after the pandemic is gone. So leadership is changing as we speak on how one is going to use it as a verb and lead. And they have to learn how to lead from afar. They can't do the micromanagement that we're used to. Although I think you should still have I'm sure Jen knows what Agile program management is. Do Jeff or Heidi, do you know what Agile program management is?
No,
I don't.
Okay, it's a different form of project management as opposed to the traditional, but Agile, they have a scrum every day. And a scrum is not more than 10 or 15 minutes, and that's it. People call it a meeting, but it's a scrum. And it's 15 minutes every day. And that's what leaders need to be doing today. They need to, yes, contact their individuals that are virtual, not in the same spaces that they're in, and have that meeting every day, 15 minutes. Okay, Heidi, what are you going to be doing today? Jeff, what are you going to be doing today? Wayne, what are you going to be doing today? And Jim, what are you going to be doing today? Okay, great. I will check that at the end of the day, make sure we're there, and we'll move on. Then they have to trust and let them do it. They can't tell them, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way, because they can't see them. So,
Right.
So leadership and followership we're learning how to work this out through the pandemic. And chapter 18 talks about that. It doesn't say pandemic, and it doesn't say, that this is how you're going to do it, but it certainly is a test to what's going on right now.
And to add to that a little bit, when you think about the skill sets to be, when you get promoted, a lot of times it's building upon the skills that you've already developed. So you become a subject matter expert. You become someone who has a strong technical acumen in whatever that field is. But leadership is a different set of skills. Leadership is a lot of times referred to with the soft skills, but they're not. If they're really that soft, then they should be easy to do, but they are not. They're actually the harder skills to do. They are harder, but they require a different type of skill. So it's almost like when you get promoted to a role that you're working with people in a way that you are defined as a leader, whether it's a boss or truly like a project manager type of a role, then leadership skills, those skills that we talk about within the book, they are all pieces that need to also go into that training, that it's another job that you have been promoted into, that you have received, but it has its own type of skill set to be learned, to embrace, and to move through. So sometimes we assume that, hey, you have this, you probably heard the example of the salesperson with, hey, they're such a great person in sales. They've got the best sales in the whole company. We're just going to promote them to the department head, to the VP of it. And then everything goes flat. It's because they got out of their comfort zone and they didn't have the skills to get them to the next level. So that's another element of letting people, because if they are in the skills that they're doing well, that's great. Let them do that. If you need to step in and help, then help and augment as you can. But when you hired that subject matter expert, you hired them to do what they did and do it to leverage their creativity. So allow them. But if you need to augment, you can augment too.
So who is your ideal audience? It sounds like anybody who is just maybe gained their first management role, all the way up to somebody who's probably like me, like an accidental leader who might need a little bit of a little bit more structure to their leadership. Who do you feel like is your ideal audience?
We felt our target audience was, yes, that emerging leader, that individual who's coming into leadership for the very first time, and that leader who has been a leader for a while. It could be a while, could be quite a while, could be not too much of a while, who are struggling. And they're struggling because, as Jen says, they've hit their ceiling on all the leadership skill sets that they have, and they're being introduced to different challenges, and they don't know how to do that. So we want to mentor the emerging leaders and the individuals who are in leadership roles. We also targeted CEOs, C-suites, execs, because we want them to buy this book and hand it off to their up-and-coming stars in their organizations as a gift. Because they say, ooh, Jeff, you are the up-and-coming guy. You need to read this. Heidi, you are the up-and-coming lady. I want you to have this because it tells the basic tenets of leadership. Heidi, let me ask you a question. What was one of the first things you did when you first learned how to drive a car?
Oh, God, that was so long ago. It's embarrassing. I'm like, okay, let's see. We're going back 44 years. I don't know. I went out and drove.
Okay, Jeff, what was one of the first things you did?
One of the first things I did was got my friends.
Okay.
Got them all in the car and
went cruising.
One of the first things I did is I opened that door.
Oh, okay.
And I got in the driver's seat. Oh. When someone is going into leadership for the very first time, they open that door and this cacophony of sound bellows out at them. And it's all these things, people demanding, people wanting things, people wanting money. Oh, we need more people. We need space. We need, listen to me. No, listen to me. Trust them. No, trust them. Respect. And then they had to shut the door because it's overwhelming. We are trying to ease individuals into knowing that when you open that door, you're going to hear all those things. But as you build your leadership role, as you build your leadership skill sets, as you build your leadership maturity, you're going to be able to diffuse most of those sounds and work with them individually, collectively, but work with them and understand who they are, what they are, and why they're coming at you. Because a lot of people go into leadership roles, like Jen said, not knowing everything that's ties to leadership. Leaders are in the people business. If we haven't figured that out, we are missing the boat.
This book would also help serve entrepreneurs. So especially an entrepreneur when they are building teams, whether it's a group of contractors, there's still a team. If it's employees, then that's another way. But when the entrepreneur starts that business, there are still skill sets that they need to think of it, because they are leading their business. They are leading their clients. So this book can help them as they grow in that capacity too.
Hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, very much so.
That's excellent. And, it is a great book that I think anyone in those categories definitely needs to get it and read it and share it and really learn from it. But we are running to our time limit here. So what I want to do is make sure that, one, everyone knows how to follow each of you, where to find you, where to find the book. Again, all this information will be in our show notes. Even right now, if you go to jeffhagee.com and click on books, I've got a link to, it's a Verb, right? You can get it right there. But share where people can find you and get the book.
So thank you so much for having us on the show. I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun hanging out with you all. So I am at jennifermilius.com, and I hang out mostly in Instagram at author Jennifer Milius, and I'm also in LinkedIn at Jennifer Milius too.
And like Jen said, thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your review of the book. I saw it on Amazon. It was really cool. Thank you very much, Jeff, for doing that. People can find me at my website, mindsyncing.com. And they can email me at wayne@mindsyncing.com. And through mindsyncing.com, they can also join my Facebook conversation on dialogue on leadership. Might be some of the leadership problems we're having right now that you can come in and say, hey, how do I fix this, or how do I do this? And I'm sure there's some individuals in there who can point you in the right direction. Thanks for having us. Really, it was really fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Yes, thank you. And again, I'll have all the links so any of our listeners can definitely find you and find your book. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'm looking for entrepreneurs, athletes, coaches, and other high achievers who want to discover their full potential. Those that have dreams and desires of getting to the next level and just need to figure out how to get there. Hi, my name is Jeff Hagee. I'm a success coach, and I want to show you the truth about developing a powerful mindset. One of the biggest things holding people back from achieving their dreams is their own limiting beliefs. And the bad thing about limiting beliefs is they prevent you from discovering your true potential and cause you to settle for way less than you really deserve. I've seen this time and again in business, athletics, all areas of life. And worst of all, many people never get past the idea that achieving their biggest dreams in life is just that, a dream. But luckily, now there's a solution for this problem. So if you're an entrepreneur, athlete, coach, or other high achiever that really wants to get to the next level, but it just hasn't happened yet, here's the solution you've been looking for. I want to introduce you to High Achievers Mindset Secrets. High Achievers Mindset Secrets is designed to help you gain control of your future, become absolutely clear on your goals and how you're going to achieve them, discover the true potential of what you have within yourself, and live every day with confidence. Intentionally live the life you desire, and much, much more. From day one, you'll be able to start implementing the strategies that will bring results into your life. High Achievers Mindset Secrets is designed specifically to meet your needs, and there's 3 options for you to choose from. First of all, there's the 6-module course. Over the course of these 6 modules, you'll learn the momentum cycle, the success cycle, and how to make them work in your favor. How to build confidence and self-belief. You'll learn to create clear goals, understand what you need to do to achieve them, and most importantly, you'll discover your why for each one. And I'll tell you now, it's not what you think. You'll learn the power of mindset questions, visualization, and having a vivid vision. You'll learn the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset and how you can change it. You'll understand the importance of proximity as power. You'll create personal development habits that lead to success. And you'll create your own personal success formula. You'll also learn the connection of mindset and mental health, the importance of state, modeling, and mindfulness, and so much more. The second option is the Academy. In the Academy, you get the full 6-module course, plus some specific, specialized one-on-one coaching. In the team program, it's designed for athletic teams, sales teams, executive teams, any team that wants to maximize its potential. Each person on the team will go through the 6-module course, and then there'll be some group coaching specifically with me. So again, if you're an entrepreneur, athlete, coach, or any other high achiever that really wants to get to the next level and you're committed to making it happen, you know every day counts. You deserve to be living the life that you want on your rules. You deserve to achieve those dreams, start that business, win that championship, get recruited, whatever that is that you desire. There's never been a better time in history to make a change and take charge of your future. You work hard, you want it bad, you're committed to making it happen. Let's do it now. So get on board with the High Achievers Mindset Secrets, because I look forward to working with you.